Okay, so this game I'm gonna go over a Cuman rush on closed maps like Arena or Hideout or Black Forest. It works best on maps without a lot of fish, even though sometimes you spawn with fish on Black Forest. You can sort of just not take it or try to adjust your build to also include a dock. The first few minutes are pretty standard. Basically want 6 on food to sustain villager production. I'm very bad at doing it, so I think I forget to make them for a couple seconds here. But it's not the end of the world. And this is a team game at around 2000 yellow. $2,100 actually. I'm currently in the top 1000 players. In this game, basically what I'm trying to do is get to village as quickly as possible. That's why I'm trying to lure a deer with my scout. You don't really have to do this. I think you could just pick up the boar that's somewhere hidden in this black area. I saw it earlier. Instead, I'm going up on 22 population and I kind of forgot the lumber camp. Just forcing some drop-offs here. Normally you can go up on 20 with loom on the closed maps, so I'm a little bit slow. But I'm not getting loom because it's arena. And 21 pop is probably fine if you're not getting loom. And immediately once I hit feudal, I get the lumber upgrades and I build a town center. Eventually I'll get the farm upgrade because I want to build farms as well. Right now I don't think this mill is saturated, so technically I could probably put like 1 or 2 more vills here and they wouldn't really bump into each other very much. Even a handful more wouldn't be a big deal. And this town center, I'd like to put it right next to the gold. It saves you a lot of resources while still protecting your wood line. Because it's next to 2 resources, I don't need a lumber camp here anymore, and I don't need a gold mine here. It's like a saving of 200 resources, whereas if you put it only against a wood line, like here, you'll only be saving like 100 resources. The downside is obviously you can't put as many farms around the town center because the gold will block it, but that's not really a big deal. Anyway, after that, my main concern is just getting to castle as quickly as possible. That's why every time I have enough wood, I try to build a farm, and I like to build my houses preemptively with villagers before shift queuing them back to the wood, so I don't have to worry about them. Because if I build my houses preemptively, then I'm not going to get pop blocked, and I find that even getting pop blocked once is going to hurt you a lot more than whatever farms you couldn't place because you didn't play it. Because you didn't use the wood right away to build the farm. Anyway, after I get around 20 farmers, I like to build the 2 tech buildings I need to click up. I find that generally lines up with the 800 food I need, so I'm 800 right now. I accidentally forgot that I need more than 200 gold because I was going to get loom, so I just sold some wood at the market and clicked up. And it wasn't too bad. I think I went up around 54 population or so. It's actually kind of slow. You can go up around 51. I think that's just because I didn't get to castle age as soon as possible. Oh, what else? I wanted to talk about how if you build the town center with 7 villagers, you can get it done in about 90 seconds, whereas if you build it with 4, you can get the first town center, the feudal one that cumans make, around 135. That difference of 45 seconds puts you about 1.8 or so villagers ahead. So if you round up to 2 villagers, that's pretty useful, because then you're going to have those 2 villagers for the rest of the game until you get to the villager pop cap, I don't know, 30-40 minutes in, and that's going to collect you a lot more resources than you spent building the town center using your 7 villagers instead of your 4. I've always done 4. I don't think it matters too much if you use 7. I think it's probably better, in fact. And on my way to castle age, the thing you want to do is set up your stable so that you can start producing right away. If they build before you get to castle, you probably want to get bloodlines on them. You can get the blacksmith techs, but the one thing you should be wary of is that every single tech you get gives away that you're going in for the rush. Like right now, I have the cavalry armor upgrade. If Blue were to click on my scout cav, you would know that I'm probably going to be doing something with my cavalry. No one just upgrades their scout cav willy-nilly on Black Forest or Arena without trying some aggression. So I do that because of the speed of using up my blacksmith, because I don't want to not have any upgrades when I finally start the attack, but at the same time it is a bit risky in that you're giving away information. And when I build these stables and siege workshop, I build them 8 tiles away from the stone wall. They're in my allied base, but if I were the flank, then I would be building them in my own base. The 8 tiles basically makes it so that your opponent can't see the siege workshop, even if they put their Eagle Scout or Scout Cab, or even if they upgrade it to Light Cab as Turks. They can't see this siege workshop in Castle Age. So they don't know that you're going to be rushing them. And it's kind of dangerous to assume that your opponent is going to be rushing and then build too defensively, because then if they boom, like on 5 town centers, then you're going to fall behind them. Now, sometimes you can tell by the score and by their ELO that they're going to be rushing, but most people will probably, at my ELO 2100, don't really realize that, I think. Anyway, we're going to speed this up a little bit. I really wanted both stables to be done by the time I hit castle, but that's probably not going to happen, so I'm finishing a bit earlier. Immediately I try to start building knights. Building knights is more important than getting bloodlines, because you can get bloodlines after the knights are done. And when you're doing the attack, but you can't build, if you build knights after your upgrades, then by the time the knights survive, some fighting might have already occurred, so you're basically fighting with less army. Whereas you can kind of send them and get the upgrade at the same time if you do it the other way around. And here I'm just trying to build 3 rams from the siege workshop. Why 3? I kind of like it because 3 is the maximum you can put onto a stone wall segment and attack it at once with all 3 of them. I guess it doesn't really matter with capped rams because they have the splash damage that deals full damage to buildings in the area, and also siege. If you're attacking siege instead. And my allied had already broken 2 tiles of stone wall anyway. One thing that Blue didn't do is he didn't wall behind over here. You could have just made a stone wall here, and that would have also helped make him much better defended. Anyway, this guy here, he's doing a Turkish fast castle into multiple TCs and a castle for Janissaries. This allows him to get out gunpowder in the castle age, which is something unique to a handful of civs with gunpowder unique units like the Spanish, my orange ally, and Blue. Here he's trying to break into Orange's space. Because the Janissaries have such a high attack, they can actually break through the wall, but I just tell him that, okay, it's fine, I'll go deal with it with my knights. And he comes with conquistadors. That was really nice for me, because I wasn't aware that green was also here, and so we're able to clean up that army and deal some damage to green. And then I tell him that, hey, I'm going to be attacking with my rams, and once again I'm getting the cap round upgrade after I send in my 3 rams, because I can get it while they're on their way. And Blue doesn't see this yet. Like, if I look at his vision, he doesn't know that I'm attacking, unless he's played against me before. Which does occur, but I don't think people remember each other's names, and if it happens too much, like, you could always change your name too. He calls him Wolves here, so he was paying attention, could have seen that. Because we're on our way to his base, and I just run my scout cav here because I want to run it against the wall. I don't think it's going to get hit by the TC. I want to see what's going on here. Right now, I have the score lead, and not just because I killed like 5 Janissaries with the help of orange, and like 2 or 3 knights from green, but because I have an army, and the army counts. Right now, Blue's doing something. He's building a house to try to stop this, and then he's going to garrison the castle and ungarrison to try to attack the rams. But I know this is going to happen, so I have my knights coming in already. And they're just here to kind of protect the rams. But the house goes down. The house foundation gets destroyed by the splash damage from the cap rams. That's something that battering rams can't do. They're also tankier and do slightly more damage to buildings. Here, blue tries to quick wall. He does a good job, but these two houses weren't very well tapped, so I just break in and then we start killing vills. And then right after the castle goes down, we leave it, the conks and my knights, we leave the castle because we know it's going to go down, there's nothing protecting it. Right after that, I move the rams in as well. There was a monk here, I just died to the conks. This is a panic barracks I've ever seen one. Blue's trying to react to this. He tried to do a 3 TC boom, which didn't work out because we just made army. We had 2 TCs as cumans and we were able to go up with more vills. And now we still have 3 rams and they're running around killing everything. Green's knights can't really go to them because we have things protecting the rams. Oh yeah, I should mention that it's very important that you tell your allies that you want to attack beforehand. You can see these town centers go down so fast. It has nothing to do with the conquistadors or my knights attacking. It has everything to do with the fact that these rams are destroying everything. Here he tries to quick wall again, but you can't really quick wall against cap rams. Even on black forest, you can't just stonewall behind your original stone walls because cap rams do that splash damage. They'll break through 2 layers of walls, maybe even 3 at the same time. I think it's 2. I don't think the splash radius is that big and that's cap rams. It's just the siege rams that get a little bit of a larger radius. And so yeah, we break through that quick wall immediately. One of the risks of attacking on black forest with military like rams, battering rams, is that if your battering rams don't break through the wall quickly enough, your opponent gets to react to it, and they have a better eco than you because they went 3 TC to your 2 TC. By the way, I should probably show my vill count. This is much more important than anything else. And we've basically killed blue, who I think was actually their strongest player if you look at the EOs. This guy pays tribute to his allies, and then I think he deletes his market because that's his last building, and he gets defeated. Allows him to see the rest of the game without leaving it. Could also resign, does the same thing really, but deleting the market just means we can't trade with it. I guess that was his rationale or something. His allies can also delete it after he resigns. It's not really a big deal. If they have vision over it, I guess once they resign, he resigns, they don't have vision over the market anymore. So he deletes it, gets defeated because he didn't run any vills out. I think he was just kind of flabbergasted, confused, didn't expect this to happen. The rest of the game goes on for a while. Teal is a lot stronger than me right now. He has elite battle elephants. They're not well upgraded, but they'll still be able to fight my Castle Age knights with +2. Here I just kind of patrol the rams in to destroy a few more buildings. I could save the farms, but it doesn't really matter to me. If the farms are destroyed, we can rebuild them. And right now, it's not like Orange just claimed them. Could very well fall into Teal's hands. Yeah. And this is where I switched to just booming. So I built another TC sometime during the attack. One thing that's very important is that while you're attacking, you still have to make farms, because you want to make sure that you have enough farms to maintain build production and knight production. And the reason why Cumans can do 2 stable knights as well as 2 TC is because they go up with a lot more villagers. You need about 14 villagers on farms in order to... that is running. You need about 14 villagers on farms in order to maintain production from 2 town centers, about 7 villagers for each, without the surplus, and then you need about 12 villagers on farms for the 2 stables. You don't really need more for upgrades because you can get the upgrades with the excess that you collect while going up to Castle Age, and you can also get them by halting stable production. I wouldn't halt villager production until you reach at least 100, maybe 140 villagers. But yeah, you can definitely hope knight production to get the cap-ram upgrade, to get armor upgrades from your blacksmith or something. And you also need about 14 on gold, 7 for each stable for pumping out knights, because knights are just very expensive, they produce fairly quickly, and this way you'll be able to maintain constant production. You'll also need it for the goals for upgrades from your blacksmith, as well as your siege workshop. So technically you probably need a little bit more than 14 because of the siege rams, but you don't really need too many siege rams, and you can sometimes just bring a villager in with your rams to repair the rams. That way, if they get attacked by knights or villagers, it's not that big of a deal. You just repair them a little bit. Maybe the vill gets targeted and dies, but usually the AI doesn't target them directly, so human players have to manually micro the town center to focus the villagers. Other than that, the reason why we go stables and knights instead of, say, longswords is because knights have the 2 pierce armor, whereas longswords have 0 until they turn into, I think, 2-handed swordsmen or champions. Actually, no, longswords have 1. But knights are faster, they're able to dive town centers and kill the villagers and get out quickly. They have more life, they have more pierce armor. And that's why I like to use them against town centers. Especially if you're fighting a civ that's not like a archery civ. Sometimes they don't get bracer, so their town centers only deal 5 damage. If you get knights with +2, then they have 4 pierce armor, they only take 1 damage from every arrow. Whereas longswords would take 2, and they die significantly faster. Knight would tank 120 arrows, and the longsword would tank in a 60 life, so 30 arrows. Yeah, you usually want to transition into longswords because their pocket and their other allies will usually try to send counter units to fight you. It's usually not battle elephants, it's usually camels or pikemen, and longswords fight well against both of those. That's why it's important to often set up some barracks during your attack. Oh yeah, and I should touch on why it's important to get 3 or more TCs up while you're attacking. It's important because you don't want to hurt your opponent's economy and also damage your own economy even more. That's something that I sometimes do with my feudal age rushes just because I don't pay enough attention to my eco at home. Even though sometimes I send my opponent into a panic as well. Yeah, that's about it. And then because all these knights are injured, I tend to like to build a few monks to heal them up, get Imperial Age, get the Cavalier upgrade, get the +4 attack and +4 armor, just so that they're a lot stronger. And Cumans, they have decent Cavalier and Paladins because theirs move like 5% faster than other Cav civs. You can even upgrade your battering rams if they survive into siege rams. This base is now free to take as well. All this gold is free for any player to take, really. If green is more powerful than us, you could take it, but more likely, since they're down a player, we'll be able to take this base. This is why orange is dropping a castle here, so you can build mining camps and have a safe spot to mine from. And that also gives us a huge advantage going into the late game because we're able to start trade a lot later and use the gold surplus to either get more trade or get more gold units out earlier and win some fights then. Here orange has already built some missionaries, and with the buff they now heal at the same rate as monks, so I just put my paladins near his missionaries and patrol them while red's getting attacked so I can heal them up. And I'd like to drop a second blacksmith as well, but that's kind of getting out of the scope of this guide. Yeah, that's about it. When I do the guide, I should probably also turn off a few of my mods. Like, I don't think the bigger minimap mod is good, and I don't think this idle pointer is good. They're just a little bit too distracting, but they seem very useful to me. That's all. Okay. Oh yeah, I should say that I've done this strategy dozens of times now, probably at least 12 in multiplayer games. I wouldn't do it in single player just because your opponents might rush you instead. But in multiplayer, people tend to be more defensive. I don't know why. I think partly it's because of the lack of communication, and if you do be aggressive, you might weaken yourself, while your weaker allies might not strengthen themselves enough. And then if you do attack, sometimes you end up in a 1v4 because you're the only one attacking, and then your enemy calls for help from their allies, and their allies all rush to help them, and your allies are still just booming slowly off of like 1 TC or something. That can be very frustrating, especially in unranked lobby games where there's no ELO. Or at least there's no matchmaking. I should also mention that sometimes when I'm attacking, I will transition into longswords or start transitioning even before my knights have broken in, just because I expect my opponent to be making pikemen. And this is because it takes a while to get supplies, as well as the men-at-arms, longsword upgrade, and then start teching into blacksmith techs, while also getting your +2 armor on your knights, and +1 or +2 attack on your knights as well, just because you have so many knights, it's a shame not to upgrade them, especially when you're probably going to be using them in late game. And the +2 attack upgrade also works on the longswords. So yeah, I like to get the barracks up right away, even before my opponent has started showing pikemen, just because I think that it's coming. I'm like 99% sure that it's coming. And even if I see some pikemen, as long as I don't garrison the pikemen in the barracks or group them up away from my knights, I can usually kill small groups of pikemen cost efficiently with large groups of knights, if that makes sense. Like, yes, knights do counter crossbows, especially on like open terrain without micro, but 400 crossbows, or I don't know, 40 crossbows will counter 10 knights, just because there's so many of them. The knights, most of them won't get close enough and won't survive long enough to deal their damage. So in those numbers, just like crossbows counter knights, when you have a large, overwhelming supply advantage in terms of knights, you can kind of fight pikemen cost effectively, even though pikemen is a really hard counter to knights. Yeah, and in this case I had a Spanish ally who built a castle and made conquistadors, so I don't think pikemen would have been a problem, and that's why I didn't really feel the need to transition into longswords. To maintain production with longswords, you can move a lot of your villagers off of gold. If you find that it's stockpiling too fast, faster than you can even use it to get to imp, simply because longswords cost a lot more food than they cost gold. Even with supplies, I think it's only like 9 on food and 3 on gold to maintain longswords from 1 barracks without supplies, and with supplies it's probably like 7 and 3, whereas knights are more like 6 on food and 7 on gold. So yeah, you can move some off of gold if you feel like it's going up too quickly. I also like to get the first gold mining upgrade as soon as possible, and eventually get the second one, of course. I only get the first stone mining upgrade just because I don't think there's usually enough stone on the map to warrant getting the second. You get wheelbarrow sometime after 45 villagers, usually around 50, just because it's an upfront investment and based on the Spirit of the Law video. And I don't get handcart until I'm on my way to imp now, just because it's too much of an investment at 500 resources. And it slows down your imp by a lot, and getting imp is important because you get the upgrades first and you get trebuchets out first if you get a castle up.